Luisa Arco, Sude Coprolo. Yeah, these are the divers that are in the battle. Well, one or two spots available for these 6 to 7 divers that I named. Claire Cryan, who was in second place, should not have any problem. Let me do the math really quick. Luisa Arco, as of right now, in 12th place at 178.5 with 4 dives, 44.6 average. And with this last dive, 52 points for Claire Cryan. We will see her again this afternoon for sure. Computer doesn't give me Claire as a mathematically qualified athlete, but that's because the computer thinks that, well, does the math, and mathematically divers could still get, with straight tens, could still get enough scores to get ahead of her. But I doubt that is going to happen. 7th for Caroline Kupka, 236.35. She's behind Claire. Again, not qualified mathematically yet, but I can tell you that should be enough to dive again this afternoon. She should be in the final. Now, Tekle Sharia reverse to nav somersault tuck and a failed dive. Well, we have seen many of these. So many divers ending up completely over the end with their feet on the hurdle and falling in the water. So this has happened so many times already. I wonder why. Well, don't wonder why, but I wonder why it is so. It is happening so often. I was saying, I wonder why divers don't think about it before. Obviously they do, but they still make the same mistake. Let's see Matilde Borrello, the first diver in the battle for a spot in the final. She needs a good dive. Especially she needs to line it up correctly, getting in the water. Good timing on the board. Oh, nice dive by the Italian. Perfectly vertical. Strong execution on the board. Again, that knee on the hurdle, I would pick it up a little bit higher to get a better rhythm, but also should have grabbed her hands to get a cleaner entry. But I gotta say, with 6s and 6.5, 57 points, 226. That's where we set the bar at the moment. Matilde Borrello. Now, this is a good dive to end their competition, and definitely putting some pressure, especially on Alexandra Blazowska now. 170 points, 72 points. She was ahead of Matilde, but she needs 8s to pass her. Does a good job. Definitely not 8.5s. Most likely, she will stay behind, end up behind Matilde. Good dive. Very nice way to come out of that twist, but this is a very easy dive, just 2.5 degree of difficulty, and she is 10 points behind Matilde Borrello, the Italian diver, already gaining 1 spot in the rankings with this last dive. She passes ahead of Alexandra Blazowska. Now, Elle Tuxen back to an half somersault tuck. Luckily for her, it doesn't have to deal with the hurdle. Let's see how she performs her back to an half somersault tuck. Very well. Good dive. Should not have any problem making it to the final. Probably just a bit too far back from the board. But overall, vertical. Wow, very hard on her, the judges, I gotta say. But 232 points. I would have been a bit higher with the score there. Just my opinion, though. 232.70 for Elle Tuxen in 3rd place at the moment. Still, as of right now, Claire Cryan is the leader and not mathematically qualified. We have Juliette Landy, same dive, back to half somersault tuck for the French diver. Another dive that ends up being a tiny bit far away from the board. Very clean in the entry, though. 6s from the judges, and with this dive, she's most likely out of the competition, and in 8th place right now with a lot of divers still to go. Now on the board, Lauren Alaselka, forward 2.5 somersault pike. Nicely done. One of the best dives of this preliminary round. Very well executed and clean entry. Strong off the board, perfect twisting position. The way she grabbed her hand is perfect. And 60 points, 241.60. Now we have the first mathematically qualified diver in this preliminary round, which is Lauren Alaselka from Finland. Huge mistake for her in the second round. Gets a perfect comeback and gets her spot in the final. Now same dive by Emilia Nilsson-Garrep. And another amazing dive. This is an excellent dive. Good job by Emilia. She's going to get her spot in the final with this dive. Nice, very good. Above 60 points for sure. Even an 8 from judge number 6, 67.50. And with 261.10, we'll see more diving from Emilia this afternoon. Here's another diver that should get mathematically her spot in the final with this last dive. She starts from 198 points. Jana Rother, forward 3.5 somersault pike. Only needs 43 points. Well, an average dive will give her a mathematical spot in the final. Good hurdle. And, ooh, well, probably not going to score. Probably below average this dive. She's quite short. Don't know what happened there. The hurdle was perfect. And loses ground. Well, loses spots in the rankings. Jana should still not have any problem making the final. But this dive, I was not expecting it to be so short after that hurdle. 235.20 for the German diver, yeah. And same as Caroline, still not mathematically qualified. Now also Claire Cryan. With that mistake by the German, Claire is mathematically qualified at 239. But let me check. As of right now, yeah, we have the Jarne should easily make the final. Even with this dive, which is not perfect, not very fast in the somersault. The strong hurdle was very well executed, and then just takes her a long time to complete those 3 somersaults. Not her best dive definitely. Actually, her worst dive in the morning. But the Jarne is qualified with 255. Now on the board is Amy Rawlinson, the other British diver. Back to have somersault pike. Nicely done. Just a bit short. This dive might not give her a mathematical spot right now. Well, let's see what the judges think. It's quite short, but 5.5s. Little disagreement there by the judges. 1.6, a couple of 4.5s, but the 5 and 5.5s count. Amy Rawlinson is mathematically qualified to 38.35. Nice Gillet, our leader, only needs less than 20 points. She's 17 points to be mathematically qualified to the final. She will get them, even though her lineup, once again, just like the previous round, in the forward 3.5 somersault tuck, I do not like the way she comes out of the twist and grabs her hands too early, leaving the dive short. Even though she made this tiny mistake, she's in the lead at 265.80. Sude Koprolu, here, one of those divers looking busy in the battle for a spot in the final. Sude managed to get vertical on her last dive in the back 2.5 somersault tuck, but not very clean, getting 4.5s. She needs to do much better here. And she does not do that. I was a little bit expecting this. Sude competed her forward, inward, and twister in the first 3 rounds, and seems like her back and reverse somersaulting dives are the ones she's struggling in. 224 points for her She's now in 11th place. She was within the top five ranked divers in the first 3 rounds, and then drastically dropped down, most likely out of the final. Matilde Borrello from Italy gains another spot in the rankings because of this mistake by the Turkish diver. Elna Widerström, she was looking for a spot in the final, does a great job with this twister. Probably scoring close to 60 points. That would put her a bit above 220, 225 points. Let's see what the judges think. And 6.5, I don't know if this might be enough though. Don't know if it's enough for a spot in the final. 225.10, 58.50. She might have needed a bit more there. Elna is behind Matilde Borrello. Just 1 point behind. Less than a point behind. Victoria Kesar now not gonna get a spot in the final. This dive wasn't bad. Her toes and feet did not point at the end of the dive. Don't think it's definitely not enough to get in the final. 5.5. She's already out. 14th place, 213.05. And Stila Mosena now, no chances for her to make the final. A field dive had a huge impact in her list here today. In the meantime, I can tell you we still have to wait for Luisa Arco. And Elettra Neroni has a better chance of making the final. Still has to perform her last dive, which is a inward 2.5 somersault tuck. Shouldn't be that big of a problem for her, but mainly we gotta wait for Luisa Arco in right after Teresa Jelinkova, who's diving now. Reverse 2.5 somersault for her, but mainly Luisa Arco, who needs 48 points on her last dive to get ahead of Matilde Borrello and Elna Widerström, who are now in 10th and 11th place at 226 and 225. Now, mathematically qualified Matilde Borrello with this mistake. Well, this not a mistake. It was a good dive by the Czech diver Teresa Jelinkova, but stays behind Matilde. So Matilde Borrello is now mathematically qualified. And with this dive, we see if Sude Kopoulou keeps her 12th spot. But mainly now the battle is between Luisa and Elna Widerström. Forward 2.5 somersault full twist for Luisa Arco. Quite slow and quite far away from the board. Probably it's going to be hard for her to make it. And she is not going to make it. She ends up with 5.5s. Yeah, quite low dive. With 5.5s from the judges, she's already in 13th place. And Elna Widerström, with this mistake, gets a spot in the final. Now, last dive of the preliminary round in were 2.5 somersault for Elettra Neroni. Only needs, 29 points to make it to the final and get ahead of Sude Kopoulou. Nicely done. Not very clean in the entry. Should have done a better job with that, but definitely enough to make it to the final for the Italian diver. 6.5s from the judges. And we are done. See, 242, Elettra is in 4th place.